Perplexity is an extremely impressive AI tool, but if you're using it to do things like summarize individual articles like I'm doing here, then it can lead to some pretty embarrassing results. I'm going to show you a much better way of doing it, and you will not have to pay $20 a month to pay for Perplexity. I'm using make.com in this automation. In this first example, I'm going to get it to summarize the article at this URL, and I've just made up this URL. It does not exist. I could write anything here. YouTube channel. If I take this into a browser, I'll just copy and paste in the URL. It does not exist. So let's see what happens. I click OK, and I'll click run this module only, and we'll wait for the result. So we'll go to the result and message. Okay, and this is what's quite interesting. It says the article at this URL discusses the AI Automators, a YouTube channel that has been voted as the best AI YouTube channel. As we've already seen, that article does not exist. So there we have the first problem, which is that if the URLs do not exist, this AI will hallucinate a fictitious response. Okay, now I have another example where I'm actually publishing an article from scratch. So I'm going to click publish on that. This article is now live on the web. If we go to that on the browser, we see it here. However, obviously it's not yet indexed on search engines. Now, what Perplexity seems to be doing is instead of actually going to the web address itself, it is going to search engines looking for that particular article, and if it does not find it, then it has nothing to work from and might just start making things up. Let's test that out. So summarize. Okay, I'll click OK and run this module, and let's see what happens. Choices. It says here, I apologize, but the provided link appears to be a generic WordPress link and does not contain any specific article content. The link does not provide any information to summarize. However, that's incorrect. So clearly it's not properly crawling. If I used another alternative method, which is to just use the HTTP module, which is free to use in make.com, and you can then I will move the start point of this to here, and we could then use this to just scrape the data directly. I'm going to go back to the first example and try to make the request from there. So I'm going to run this module only. This example of a URL that I made up earlier, this went directly to the URL and it showed up as not found, which is correct. That means that it would stop the flow. And if this was linked to Facebook and Twitter and Instagram and all of the rest to automatically post, it would not happen. However, if we had these linked together, this could have potentially posted some random garbage to Facebook directly, which is not something you want. You really want your automations to be reliable. Then you can add in an OpenAI chat module and just simply get that. You will summarize an article and provide its most important points, and then simply select the data from there. And it will summarize the article, you do that down the user. So in the system, you will summarize an article and provide its most important points, pass the data to that, and then it will work. So let's take an example of a URL that actually is available and see what the result of that is like. Okay, so I found this TechCrunch article, which is this, and I'll now run this through the workflow. So I'll press play. It's received the request. The response data looks like this. So this is the entire code. A little bit messy, but it will still work. Or it should still work. And now we're getting OpenAI just to create a summary of that article. Okay, so that's now completed. Let's look at the result. Okay, here's a summary of the article. So I've just looked through that article and it looks correct. It's a correct summary. So that's a really easy way to just scrape data from an article, summarize it, and if there's a problem with it, it will show up as an error. No problems. There are better ways of scraping than using the HTTP module. We'll have more content coming out on that. There are services like Scrapesio or ScrapingBee that you can link to very easily on make.com that will give even better, cleaner data that you can use with OpenAI. But this method works in a lot of cases pretty well. The trade-off being that if you use an external service, you get cleaner data. Instead of responding with the entire code of the article like the HTTP module would, services like Scrapesio, ScrapingBee, and so on would more likely just provide that exact text, and then there's less data for this to work with, and it'll be easier, slightly cheaper, faster. So there's a bit of a trade-off, but we'll have more content coming on scraping websites pretty soon. But that at least is a pretty easy way that you can just get up and running instead of using Perplexity.ai. So look, if you're using Perplexity.ai at the moment like this, you might be getting okay results. But from my testing, it's not the best tool for the job. You should just use a general scraping tool and summarize things. It'll be far more reliable when it comes to your automations. If you want more practical automation advice like this and access to all of our automations, then check out the link in the description. Thanks for watching.